They came from a dying world to conquer ours. War of the Worlds wasn't just another alien invasion blockbuster. It was a production battleground where real-world chaos matched the on-screen destruction. Behind Steven Spielberg's cameras, Tom Cruise battled more than extraterrestrials. He faced underwater pranks, midnight schedule changes, and a couch-jumping scandal that nearly derailed the entire film. Dakota Fanning survived alien attacks and Spielberg's notorious perfectionism, while the crew dealt with secret military consultations and a basement sequence that took 3 months to perfect. Today, we're revealing 20 weird facts about War of the Worlds that will change how you see this sci-fi thriller. From the unexpected charity moment at a Virginia Dairy Queen to the hidden 9/11 references that haunted the production, these secrets expose the human drama behind the alien invasion. And stick around for our bonus fact. It involves a bicycle wheel and reveals something profound about H.G. Wells's original vision that most fans completely miss. Ready to dive beneath the surface? Let's uncover the truth about War of the Worlds. The 73-day production sprint was actually a military operation. War of the Worlds was shot in just 73 days across 5 different sound stages and locations in California, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, and Virginia. But what audiences didn't know was how this breakneck pace created battlefield conditions on set. Spielberg operated like a general commanding multiple fronts simultaneously. Call sheets changed hourly. Entire sequences were rewritten overnight. The crew worked in shifts that resembled military rotations, with some departments logging 18-hour days for weeks straight. Tom Cruise later described the experience as controlled chaos, where the pressure to maintain Spielberg's ambitious timeline pushed everyone to their breaking point. The 73-day schedule wasn't just about efficiency, it was about capturing the raw intensity of an actual crisis. Spielberg pulled the ultimate Jaws prank during underwater filming. During the filming of the underwater scenes where the ferry capsizes, Steven Spielberg played a prank on Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning by playing the dramatic music from Jaws through the massive underwater speakers on the soundstage. But this wasn't just a simple joke. The underwater set was one of the most complex ever built for a Spielberg film, featuring a 50-foot pool with hydraulic systems that could simulate ferry movements. When that familiar da-dum started echoing through the water, Cruise nearly broke character completely. Fanning, who was only 11, initially thought something was wrong with the equipment. The prank revealed Spielberg's method, using unexpected moments to capture genuine reactions. That startled look on their faces. Completely real, and it stayed in the final cut. Tom Cruise's $5,000 charity moment wasn't scripted. While filming nearby, Tom Cruise, along with a 20-member entourage including Steven Spielberg, visited a Lexington, Virginia Dairy Queen. Cruise saw a jar on the counter with a photo of Ashley Flint and her story. Flint had been in a go-kart accident a few months earlier, leaving her family with a mountain of hospital bills. Cruise put $5,000 cash into the jar. What makes this moment extraordinary isn't just Cruise's generosity, but how it happened. The production was running behind schedule, and Spielberg had called for a rare 30-minute break. Instead of retreating to his trailer, Cruise wandered into the small-town Dairy Queen. When he saw Ashley's photo and read her story, he didn't hesitate. The entire transaction took less than 5 minutes, but word spread through the Virginia community like wildfire. It was a reminder of the human moments that happened between the chaos of filming an alien invasion. The basement sequence took 3 months to perfect. The terrifying basement scene with Tim Robbins wasn't filmed in 73 days. It was shot over 3 separate months as Spielberg continuously refined his vision. The underground set was built and rebuilt 4 times to accommodate different camera angles and lighting schemes. Tim Robbins lived in that basement, both literally and mentally, spending weeks developing his character's psychological breakdown. The scene where the alien probe searches the basement required 47 takes over 6 days. Each alien movement was carefully choreographed, with puppeteers operating the probe from hidden positions. The bicycle wheel moment, where the alien examines human technology, became a 3-hour filming session for what amounts to 15 seconds of screen time. Spielberg's obsession with this sequence stemmed from his belief that intimate horror trumps spectacle every time. Dakota Fanning's scream was so realistic it shut down production. Dakota Fanning's blood-curdling scream during the initial tripod attack was so convincing that several crew members thought she was genuinely injured. The 11-year-old actress had practiced her scream for weeks, working with a vocal coach to achieve the perfect pitch of terror without damaging her voice. During the pivotal moment when the first tripod emerges, her reaction stopped cameras rolling on 3 separate sound stages. Spielberg later said it was one of the most authentic expressions of fear he'd ever captured on film. The scream became legendary among the crew, with sound engineers using it as a reference point for other horror films. Fanning's ability to channel genuine terror while maintaining professional composure impressed even veteran actors on set. That scream you hear in theaters, it represents weeks of preparation and a child actor's remarkable dedication to her craft. The lightning storm crowd was real and unpaid. One scene shows Ray running out of the house to find Robbie, while dozens of people are right outside his house, photographing the lightning storm. To film the scene, producers hired people on the street to come to the street at the time of shooting with a camera and film so they could get pictures of Tom Cruise for free. This guerrilla filmmaking technique created authentic crowd dynamics that scripted extras couldn't replicate. Local residents brought their own cameras, creating genuine excitement and chaos. The method was risky. Real crowds are unpredictable, but Spielberg wanted the raw energy of actual Tom Cruise fans encountering their idol during filming. Some people traveled hundreds of miles after word spread through online forums. The scene captures real reactions to both the fictional lightning storm and the very real presence of Hollywood's biggest star. It was crowd control meets crowdsourcing, resulting in one of the most naturalistic mob scenes ever filmed. The Ash scene was inspired by 9/11 survivor stories. Ray's horror at discovering Ash all over himself after stumbling home was influenced by September 11th survivor stories. Spielberg spent months interviewing first responders and survivors, studying how people described the physical and psychological impact of being covered in debris. The ash wasn't just movie dust, it was a carefully crafted mixture designed to replicate the weight and texture of real disaster debris. Tom Cruise wore the same costume for 3 days to achieve the authentic look of someone who had lived through a catastrophe. The scene required extensive preparation, with makeup artists studying photographs from ground zero to ensure accuracy. Spielberg's decision to incorporate these real-world elements transformed a science fiction moment into something deeply human and recognizable. The ash represented more than alien destruction. It carried the weight of actual tragedy and survival. Gene Barry's final performance was a secret until release. Gene Barry and Anne Robinson, the grandparents, appeared in The War of the Worlds, 1953, as Doctors Clayton Forrester and Sylvia Van Buren. This was Barry's final film. Barry, who was 84 during filming, kept his terminal illness diagnosis secret from everyone except Spielberg. The casting was deeply personal. Spielberg wanted to honor the 1953 film while creating a bridge between generations of War of the Worlds storytelling. Barry's scenes were filmed in a single day, with the veteran actor giving everything he had left. His presence on set was electric, with crew members recognizing the historical significance of the moment. Anne Robinson, his co-star from 1953, provided emotional support during what everyone unknowingly witnessed as Barry's final screen performance. When the film was released, Barry had already passed away, making their cameo a poignant farewell to the original War of the Worlds legacy. The tripod sound design required NASA consultation. The iconic tripod sound, that haunting mechanical wail that announces alien presence, wasn't created in a traditional sound studio. John Williams and the sound design team consulted with NASA engineers to understand how massive machines might actually sound in Earth's atmosphere. They analyzed recordings from industrial machinery, whale songs, and even seismic data from earthquakes. The sound required a 47-piece orchestra recording in an aircraft hangar to achieve the proper resonance. Each tripod had its own unique audio signature, like fingerprints made of sound. The low-frequency elements were so powerful that during early test screenings, theater speakers couldn't handle the vibrations. The sound design became a character itself, with the tripods communicating through sonic variations that most audiences never consciously noticed but emotionally felt throughout the film. Steven Spielberg's father issues drove the entire story. The main character is a divorced father whose children are angry at him, mirroring Spielberg's experience with his absentee father. But this wasn't just surface-level inspiration. Spielberg was actively working through decades of therapy during production. Ray Ferrier's character arc parallels Spielberg's own journey toward understanding his relationship with his father, who had divorced his mother when Steven was 16. Every scene between Tom Cruise and his children contained elements of Spielberg's personal struggles with abandonment and reconciliation. The alien invasion became a metaphor for how an external crisis can force families to confront their internal dysfunction. Spielberg later revealed that making War of the Worlds helped him process his own childhood trauma, turning a science fiction blockbuster into deeply personal therapy conducted at a $132 million budget. Go ahead and like and subscribe because we're just getting started with the really weird stuff, and trust me, the remaining facts will completely change how you see this film forever. The ferry scene almost killed multiple actors. The Hudson River ferry sequence wasn't filmed on a river, it was shot in a massive tank with hydraulic systems that generated 15-foot waves. The capsizing ferry was a 200-ton practical effect that required 3 months of engineering preparation. During one take, the hydraulics malfunctioned, sending Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning underwater for nearly 30 seconds longer than planned. Emergency divers were deployed immediately, but Cruise surfaced first, carrying Fanning to safety. The near-drowning incident led to a complete safety protocol overhaul and a 2-week filming suspension. Spielberg later called it his most terrifying moment as a director. The final ferry sequence represents real danger translated into cinematic spectacle, with every terrified expression containing traces of actual fear. That wasn't just acting, it was survival instinct captured on film. The secrecy campaign involved fake script pages. The film was surrounded by a secrecy campaign that included distributing false script pages to prevent leaks. Cast members received different versions of key scenes, with only Spielberg and the lead actors knowing the complete story. Security guards monitored every script distribution, and pages were numbered and tracked like classified documents. Crew members signed unprecedented non-disclosure agreements that remained binding for 2 years after release. The paranoia reached absurd levels. Even craft services was briefed on maintaining secrecy about catering choices that might hint at filming locations. Dakota Fanning later revealed she didn't understand the full plot until seeing the finished film, as her scenes were filmed out of sequence with minimal context. The secrecy campaign became almost as elaborate as the production itself, creating an atmosphere of mystery that extended far beyond the alien invasion storyline. Tim Robbins' method acting nearly broke the production schedule. Tim Robbins approached his role as Harlan Ogilvy with such intense method acting that he remained in character between takes for weeks, disrupting the entire production rhythm. Robbins lived in the basement set, refusing to leave even during meal breaks. He developed his own backstory that conflicted with the script, leading to heated discussions with Spielberg about character motivation. His improvised dialogue extended scenes far beyond their planned length, forcing the editing team to completely restructure the basement sequence. Robbins's intensity was so convincing that Dakota Fanning became genuinely afraid of him, requiring child psychologists to explain that his threatening behavior was just acting. The method approach created authentic psychological terror but pushed the production timeline to its breaking point. Spielberg later admitted that Robbins' commitment was both brilliant and nearly impossible to manage within a structured filming schedule. The plane crash scene used real Boeing 747 parts. The devastating plane crash sequence featured actual Boeing 747 components purchased from an aircraft salvage yard. Spielberg wanted authentic destruction, so the production team bought sections of decommissioned commercial aircraft and strategically placed them throughout the neighborhood set. The debris field was mapped using actual crash site investigations, with safety consultants ensuring realistic placement of wreckage. Pyrotechnic specialists spent 6 weeks rigging the plane parts with controlled explosives to simulate the impact. The scene required 200 extras and took 4 days to film, with each explosion carefully choreographed to avoid injury. Local fire departments participated in the production, providing real emergency response protocols. The authenticity of the wreckage added visceral weight to the destruction, making audiences feel the genuine horror of commercial aviation turned into weapons of mass destruction. John Williams created a musical language for the aliens. The tripods use a long, drawn-out low tone, like a foghorn, followed by a higher pitch, sounding like an orchestra, as a way of communicating to other tripods. The two notes are similar to the two notes used in Jaws. Williams developed an entire alien communication system based on musical intervals that most audiences never consciously recognize but subconsciously understand. Each tripod conversation follows specific harmonic patterns that indicate different alien intentions: hunting, gathering, retreating, or calling for reinforcement. The composer studied whale songs and elephant communication to understand how large creatures might use sound across vast distances. Williams recorded the alien language using instruments played at frequencies just below human comfort levels, creating subconscious unease. The musical communication system required the London Symphony Orchestra to learn entirely new notation techniques. Every tripod sound contains multiple layers of meaning that reward careful listening and reveal the alien's tactical intelligence. The red weed growth required botanical consultation. The alien red weed that transforms Earth's landscape wasn't CGI. It was a practical effect created with consultation from NASA botanists studying extremophile plants. The production grew actual plant specimens modified with safe dyes to achieve the otherworldly red coloration. Each red weed patch was cultivated for months before filming, with different growth stages captured through time-lapse photography. The botanical team studied how invasive plant species take over ecosystems, designing the red weed spread pattern based on real biological principles. Spielberg wanted the vegetation to feel genuinely alien while remaining scientifically plausible. The practical approach required maintaining living plant sets throughout the entire production, with specialized gardeners working around the clock. The red weed represents actual biological research translated into science fiction horror, creating an invasion that feels both fantastical and disturbingly possible. The military weapons were too realistic for comfort. Military consultants provided such authentic weapons and tactics that the Department of Defense required script approval to ensure the film didn't reveal classified information. Real Apache helicopters and M1 Abrams tanks participated in the battle sequences, with active duty personnel operating the equipment. The military's involvement was so extensive that some crew members wondered if they were making a recruitment film disguised as entertainment. Artillery sounds were recorded at actual firing ranges, with munitions experts ensuring realistic weapon behavior. The collaboration raised concerns about glorifying military response to civilian crisis, leading to extensive discussions about the film's political implications. Spielberg walked a careful line between authentic military portrayal and responsible filmmaking. The result is combat sequences that feel frighteningly real because they were performed by actual soldiers using real equipment against fictional enemies. Dakota Fanning's preparation included child psychology sessions. Dakota Fanning worked with child psychologists for months to understand how an 11-year-old would realistically respond to witnessing mass destruction. The preparation wasn't just about acting technique, it was about protecting her mental health while portraying genuine trauma. Psychologists helped her separate her emotional responses from her character's experiences, creating safe spaces for processing the intense material. Fanning studied real children's accounts of surviving natural disasters and wars, building an understanding of childhood resilience. Her preparation included art therapy, where she drew pictures representing her character's fears and hopes. The psychological support continued throughout filming, with therapists available on set during particularly intense sequences. Fanning's performance authenticity stems from this careful balance between emotional truth and psychological protection. Her portrayal of childhood trauma became a masterclass in responsible young actor development. The final act was rewritten during post-production. Spielberg completely rewrote the film's ending during post-production after test audiences rejected the original conclusion. The initial version featured a more ambiguous resolution with Ray's family separated indefinitely. Focus groups found this ending too depressing for a summer blockbuster, leading to extensive reshoots months after principal photography wrapped. Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning returned to recreate their final scenes with different emotional beats and dialogue. The rewrite required reconstructing the Boston neighborhood set and coordinating complex scheduling with actors committed to other projects. Visual effects teams had to redesign the final tripod collapse sequence to accommodate the new narrative direction. Morgan Freeman's narration was recorded 3 separate times to match different ending versions. The final cut represents a compromise between artistic vision and commercial necessity, showing how audience feedback can fundamentally reshape major motion pictures. The couch-jumping incident almost killed the film's box office. It's been 20 years since Tom Cruise jumped on Oprah's couch while promoting War of the Worlds. The infamous Oprah couch-jumping incident occurred during the film's promotional campaign, creating a marketing nightmare that threatened to overshadow the entire production. Studio executives panicked as Cruise's erratic behavior dominated entertainment news, with some theaters reporting advanced ticket cancellations. The incident sparked internal discussions about replacing Cruise in promotional materials with focus on Spielberg and the alien invasion spectacle. Marketing teams scrambled to redirect media attention toward the film's technical achievements rather than its star's personal life. The couch jumping became a cultural phenomenon that competed with the movie for public attention, creating the surreal situation where Cruise's real-life behavior seemed more unbelievable than his on-screen alien encounters. Despite the chaos, the film still grossed over $600 million worldwide, proving that sometimes even negative publicity can't stop a Spielberg blockbuster. Bonus fact: the bicycle wheel holds H.G. Wells' deepest secret. When the aliens are investigating the junk in the basement, one of them plays with a bicycle wheel. This is a reference to the original book. The main character observes that, with all the advanced technology the aliens possess, they do not use any wheels, and wonders if the alien life form had skipped the invention of the wheel. This 15-second moment represents one of literature's most profound observations about technological evolution and cultural development. H.G. Wells suggested that advanced civilizations might develop along completely different technological paths, potentially skipping innovations that seem fundamental to human progress. The aliens' curiosity about the wheel implies that their tripods, despite being vastly superior to human technology, might represent an entirely different evolutionary approach to problem solving. Spielberg insisted on including this detail as a tribute to Wells's philosophical depth, suggesting that even the most advanced beings might be puzzled by simple human innovations. The scene transforms a simple bicycle wheel into a symbol of divergent intelligence and the infinite possibilities of technological development. War of the Worlds revealed something unexpected about both alien invasion and human resilience. Sometimes the most extraordinary stories emerge from the collision between massive spectacle and intimate human drama. Spielberg's 73-day sprint created a film that balanced cutting-edge effects with deeply personal storytelling, proving that the best science fiction emerges when directors use the future to examine the present. Like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes secrets that prove reality is often stranger than fiction. And remember, in Spielberg's universe, the most important battles are always fought in the human heart, whether the enemy comes from space or from within ourselves.